Hey, good morning. Welcome to another episode of AI Buzz. My name is Nick, coming at you with some new stories in the world of machine learning and artificial intelligence. Have some good ones for you today. From Volkswagen, Apple released a new feature called Deep Fusion. Google has their new DEX language. And Major League Baseball is turning to college students to help with analytics. All that and more coming right at you. Let's get started. First up, auto manufacturers are beginning to battle it out for market share in the autonomous car market. Ford and Toyota already been seen to invest huge amounts of money into this space. Others, such as Hyundai, are trying to catch up. Tesla, their robo-taxi vision of Elon Musk might be hard to catch. Now, Volkswagen is joining the mix. They've spun out a complete standalone business called Volkswagen Autonomy. This will focus on the company's autonomous car initiatives. Funny enough, Volkswagen has recently invested in Argo AI, which is also backed by one of their main competitors, Ford. This hub is located in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. So both Volkswagen and Ford jointly own this startup, Argo AI. They've jointly contributed seed money to it, and in the end, it'll allow both of them to use the company's technology in their future fully self-driving cars. Formerly, Volkswagen wanted to join up with a startup. It's actually much bigger now because it was acquired by Intel. It's called Mobileye. They were going to integrate this camera and radar technology into their production cars. However, it probably would have been too slow of a move to keep up with the competition. Instead, the joint venture between Ford and Volkswagen will be in this new hub, and I think together it'll allow them to hit closer to the mark in terms of the full self-driving leader right now, which is definitely Tesla. So other automakers are following suit with Tesla's robotaxi plan. Unlike Tesla's ambitious plans, Toyota has a very strict deadline to unveil their self-driving fleet. The 2020 Tokyo Summer Olympics. The company has promised that the robotaxi service will be available to the attendees at that Olympics. So Volkswagen is looking to keep up with that, and they want their robotaxi fleet on the road next year. However, none of the automakers, Tesla and Volkswagen, have as strict of a deadline as Toyota. If Toyota is saying they will roll this out in time for that Olympics, then that's pretty much set in stone. Also, Tesla has really been known for having very ambitious timelines on things. But we will see. I think it might be a little slower than they say, but this stuff is coming, and huge money is entering the space. Volkswagen's pumping billions and billions of dollars into self-driving, and so is Ford, and so is Toyota. Tesla obviously is too. It's kind of their core technology at this point. So cannot wait to see how this technology enters into all cars in the coming years. Next up, Apple will soon be releasing a software upgrade to the latest generation of iPhones that just came out. The new update will allow users to access what Apple calls Deep Fusion. The new iPhone combines tons of new bleeding-edge camera technology, both from a hardware and a software stance. Apple's got to be approaching the limit of how much hardware technology they can really pack into that footprint. These iPhones are paper thin, and the technology that you are still able to get out of it is mind-boggling. They have hundreds and hundreds of engineers devoted just to the camera. So they are engineering the heck out of this camera from a hardware perspective. The new upgrade will allow AI to essentially go to town on the impressive photos that these new iPhones are already taking. And the new Deep Fusion feature that's already been released in beta versions will take a series of photos, up to 7 total, and then the algorithm will then search through all of these photos and find the absolute best combination of those photos and create a composite image. The new composite images will tend to have a lower noise. The noisy parts of each image are going to be averaged, and when you average things together, the noise of whatever you're averaging decreases. It's a square root dependence. So the more things that you average together, the noise in the image is related to, it's a square root relationship, so inverse square root. And so averaging more together decreases the noise in what you're averaging. So based on some of the independent reviews of this feature online, it works really well, especially well when you're photographing things up close, and especially well when you're trying to get sort of texture within your images. One example I saw was a photograph of wood up close, and with the feature on and the feature off, it's very clear that the feature was working and doing its job when you compared the two. So this is a fascinating new feature out of Apple with the iPhone. Turning to machine learning because they really have to be hitting the limit of what's physically possible with hardware in that footprint. Very, very impressive. Next up, as the hardware becomes more and more optimized for machine learning, so is software. This is consistent with the story I just covered. Neural network libraries such as TensorFlow and others are designed to speed up things like matrix multiplication as much as possible. However, typically at their core, they're still based on a programming language that's not 100% tweaked for these types of applications. Engineers at Google are working on and have released to GitHub a programming language called DEX, and this is short for index, and it's going to be specifically designed to be a research language for array processing, and it's going to be modeled after Haskell. Currently, MATLAB and the Python library NumPy are likely the most widely used sort of matrix multiplication libraries. However, the developers wanted something even more lightweight that was just optimized as much as possible for big array processing. So, as machine learning continues to grow, and every day we hear about new applications and new edge devices that machine learning is being applied on, optimizing the hardware and the software as much as possible is how this field is going to move forward. The project DEX has not fully been released by Google. It's just present on GitHub, and they are encouraging contributors. So if you'd like to contribute to the project, it's called Dex Lang on GitHub. And yeah, you can contribute to this new, really cool array processing library. I encourage it. Next up, Major League Baseball generates a ton of data, and it's actually pretty heavily powered by analytics already. We're seeing a lot of that in sports. In the NFL especially, it's sponsored by AWS. Right on the screen it says AWS. Whenever they do one of those replays, whenever they show one of those cool sort of playbacks and they have all this analysis on the screen, that's all AWS. And in baseball, it's being used as well. It's whenever there's a pitch, it can show precisely where the ball is pitched on the screen from 3D angles. It can have this box drawn in. So sports are seeing a big injection of analytics into them, even on a national scale. So people are really becoming acclimated to it, which is great to see. The league, in conjunction with software creator Adobe, are looking to push more money and more people into sports analytics. The two are offering $60,000 to students to compete in one of their annual analytics competitions. The students will have access to the new Adobe Sensei platform, which is Adobe's AI engine, and it generates most of Adobe's targeting and analytics metrics. Over 1,500 students have already applied for the challenge. They're in the final selection phase, and once the final candidates are selected, they'll all fly over to the company's headquarters in San Jose and compete in the grand prize that the two companies are sponsoring. The competitors in this competition will have to analyze how fans interact with the different entities that MLB owns, such as MLB.com, as well as some of the mobile application stuff that they manage. From these different sources, so MLB.com and the MLB apps, they're going to work to create a story that'll hopefully allow MLB to make the best user experience for fans going forward. So once again, the students will get to use Adobe Sensei, and it's a great opportunity to expose students to analytics with this very interesting application. I always love seeing these attention-grabbing applications, because looking at data and models can really get a little bit stale after so many hours staring at it. You're just staring at these tens of millions of rows of raw data, and your equations are getting all blended together and your eyes are blurry. If this is applied to something really cool that you personally find interesting, such as baseball, that will really power you through those troughs in motivation. And I love seeing that more money is getting injected into that area. That's about all I have for you today. It's a shorter episode, still covered 4 stories. I really powered through them. Let me give a brief recap of what I talked about. Volkswagen's really going all in on full self-driving. They, in conjunction with Ford, are sponsoring the heck out of Argo AI, which is headquartered in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Argo AI it's sponsored by both, and once they start developing fully, this technology can be used by both Ford and Volkswagen. Apple's new Deep Fusion update will be hitting the new generation of iPhones shortly, and this uses deep learning to essentially take a series of photos and then average different areas of the photos together to reduce noise, increase crispness of certain areas of the image. Google's new Dex language is going to be optimized for array processing. It's going to be a dedicated research language for array processing. It's supposed to be more lightweight compared to everything out there, according to the Google developers. And this should be released in the future. It's not live yet, but can be contributed to on GitHub. Lastly, I talked about how Major League Baseball is sponsoring an analytics competition in conjunction with Adobe. They're offering $60,000 to students who can really give the best picture of how their user experience can be improved across their different platforms, such as MLB.com. Thanks so much for joining me on this episode of AI Buzz. I'm your host, Nick. I'll be back very, very soon with more stories on artificial intelligence and machine learning. Thanks for tuning in today. Have a good one. Bye.